Virginia Tech plus 5.5. You can keep those points. We don't even need them. 2-1 last night, 2-0 the night before.
That thing to break over the middle of the plate.
I think he stepped out either.
Let's go to Arby's.
Boom, we're on. No Hedge, live show. No Elio, he's in the plane on the way to the Breeders' Cup. Flying with Elio is an interesting thing, being in the seat next to him. He gets in that chair and he cannot be moved. I had to climb over him one time on a flight to Vegas to get up to the bathroom. But we got Nappy here with us. Going to have a little Thursday night action, some props for Thursday night, our annual. Now, I played your things last week and they shit the bed.
So, yeah, I caught the end of the show last night, and I heard, Ellie, I heard you mention that. So which ones did you play before we get into them?
What did I play? I played Mixon, rushing yards.
Yep.
I played some receiver in Detroit who I don't think had a receiving yard.
Not have a catch. Yeah, that was a bad play.
And then I couldn't play the 14 parlay because I couldn't find on any sites that I use. I couldn't find all those. So I just played those two. But I know the parlay lost, and I know those two lost. I don't know what else you had.
The parlay lost. What? Hold on. Let me go back to the. Let's go back to last week. So let's go back to the show last week. Patrick, can you pull up that? Start with the parlay. Start with the week 8 grid. It's got the Randall Cobb, Zach Ertz. There it is. All right, so that's what we gave out on the show. This is the first attempt at doing head-to-heads. Both lost, unfortunately. Randall Cobb had 2 touchdowns. You know, it's one of these things where you look into these games and you say who's going to have a good game and who's going to have a good matchup for whatever reasons. Like Randall Cobb did not beat A.J. Green. He scored 2 touchdowns. So it's frustrating. He had 3 catches for 15 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he almost scored a touchdown in the first quarter. Ertz, Tanyan, that wasn't close. The others, the Rodgers over 1.5 was easy. A.J. Green. And then we put that in a parlay with Valdez-Scantling, which is that's that first one I sent to you, Patrick, with the line through. So basically, he went incomplete, right? Because he didn't go. Again, Green Bay had 2 wide receiver scores, I think, if not 3, but they definitely had 2. And the Rodgers over was easy, the Green over. So that was, I don't know what it paid when it went down to 2. I have to go back and look, but it was plus 950 before that one. But he was a healthy, I think, 3.25 to hit. So Thursday's games, I didn't think were that bad. The weekend, I put out a parlay, and that's that second one, Patrick, that second Barstool screen with the bingo. So, yeah, Mixon, you played his over rushing yards. I think he had 55 receiving yards, which is, it's just frustrating because it was a dump-off pass that he took for a long game to hit his over. So one of those ones where the total yards probably hit, but the rushing yards didn't. Mixon did score a touchdown. I almost had him to do 2, and I said, you know what, just give me the 1. Heineke was under the 1.5. Khalif Raymond was the one you're talking about, Tarek, 44.5 yards. He didn't have a catch.
No, he didn't.
And then that Jets. I mean, look, that Jets game. I lost my first. It wasn't a great week. I would kind of characterize.
I'm just giving you shit. I'm not really. Yeah.
No, I hear you. Look. I mean, we want to shoot like 60, 70, 80% on these things, and some of them kind of fit together like a puzzle, right? Like you basically. You can pick a game on a night and flip a coin and pick the game. When you try to say how are these games going to fit together, and how are they going to play out? I mean, look, the Jets. I didn't release it last week. I had 2 college games in my kind of 3-team high money line parlay, and the Jets just totally fucked it up. I guess you don't bet on the Bengals when they're minus 500 on the road against a quarterback you don't have film on, because they could have won the game. But I I thought Mixon would control that ball more. I thought they would handle them. So we get the touchdown right. We didn't get the yards right. It's hard to hand pick, right? I mean, I view these player props like, you had said last night you had a good week and then you played some of the props. I view the player props like appetizers, right? You go to the 99 for a night, you get a sampler platter and you pick on like the potato skins, maybe you have a hot wing or two, but you don't touch the boneless tenders. And sometimes the boneless tenders are the best of the bunch. So you gotta, if you're gonna play them, you kind of gotta get your hands in, I think, on all of them.
Let me tell you this. You want to talk about an appetizer? I was at a party this week and they had stuffed mushrooms, huge mushrooms. I love stuffed mushrooms. And these things were incredible. I can't remember the name of the place they got. It was in Millis.
Well, I got a buddy in Pembroke who makes the best homemade mushrooms you'll ever have.
Stuffed mushrooms. I would go to weddings and I used to try to wait for the guy to come out with the stuffed mushrooms.
Yeah. And sometimes you get a bad batch. I mean, it's the scallops wrapped in bacon. It's the same thing. I've had some that are great. And I've had some that, the bacon's kind of got that funky taste and it just doesn't work out. So that was, a couple of those picks, in that parlay, but look, I also don't play these as like regular games, right? Like I always, if typically don't do like a per unit, because you can, if you're going to bet 15 games on a weekend and then throw in 3 or 4 parlays, I mean, it can juice them. It can juice your winnings. It could kind of ruin a good week. And we certainly don't want to do that. I think especially these big parlays, and we got a couple nice ones this week. If you're playing a plus 2,200 parlay, I think we want, you're supposed to kind of dial it back, from a unit standpoint. I do like to play them all individually. And that way, if you're kind of 3-2, 4-1, you're still making some money. And then if it hits, you have, like we said last week, you have a really good night that can kind of carry your season. It's a lot like picking game, when you do those sheets and you hit a week and you go 14-2, and you win that week, it kind of pays for your entry the rest of the season. So we get some good ones. I like this game this week in terms of entertainment value. There's a lot of fantasy players that I think are going to be relevant. And so I have basically pull that last one up for me, Patrick, the grid, the week 9 grid. These are the 4. All right. Well, no. So we'll start there. So these are the 2 parlays we're doing. I'm not sure how clear that is. I'll tweet them out. But we have a plus 2,200. Elijah Moore. He's plus 410 to score a touchdown. I actually like that one outright. I don't like Jonathan Taylor outright to score 2 touchdowns, plus 295. So if I'm playing one, I'm playing Elijah Moore by itself. I do like him in a parlay, plus 2,200. Elijah Moore touchdown, Jonathan Taylor 2 touchdowns. So that works for me this week. The other side of it that I like is really a play on Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman's a guy who's kind of caught the league by storm here. He's the new number 1 out of SC. It's 2nd year in the league. He's had a really good couple of weeks, really starting 2 weeks ago in that rain game against San Francisco. I don't believe T.Y. Hilton's going to play. I think Paris Campbell's also out. So again, if you think of these as puzzle pieces, Wentz over 1.5, Michael Pittman over 67.5, and Michael Pittman to score. All you really need to happen is Michael Pittman to score. And if it's a long touchdown, now you just need some garbage yards to take you over the 67.5 and another touchdown from Wentz. It's going to pay plus 700. So those are the 2 parlays. Obviously the one on the right is plus 700. I like it better than plus 2,200. Yep. So I'd probably maybe double the unit size on the 3 leg versus the 2. But it feels like we're getting into that time of year where guys score multiple touchdowns. That's why I like that Jonathan Taylor in a parlay, much like Mixon last week with 2 TDs. It's these running backs that are stud backs. It doesn't take much for them to score twice. A pass interference in the end zone, which you seem to get every week. and there's one, right? Assuming they don't run a bootleg or some crazy kind of play action. And then in general, that grid that I had, Patrick, it's for week 9 right there. So, Elio's out. I know Elio loves overs. So this one's for Elio. They're all too low, in my opinion. Receptions: Jonathan Taylor over 2.5, Nyheim Hines over 1.5, Ty Johnson over 2.5, and the one I like the best, the one that's bolded, Michael Carter 4.5. This guy's had 20 pass targets in the last 2 weeks. I think both these quarterbacks are going to, struggle to throw the ball downfield at times. I think it's a close enough game where they're both going to be in the mix. And I think, screen passes, check downs, I think 2 of them easily hit. And I think it's an easy. Now, in the Barstool app, I don't know why this is. You cannot parlay reception totals, overs and unders. They're not part of that custom parlay functionality. So, take them all. If you go 4-0, that's what will happen. Is there'll be a 4-0 night when you can't actually physically do the parlay.
Yeah.
No one's going to complain about a 4-0 night.
No, you wouldn't think so.
So,
All right, so then we have Thursday night.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so that's Thursday night. That's a good game tomorrow night. It's Indianapolis, right?
Yeah. It's Jets, and I think it's in Indy.
The Jets. That's right. It's the Jets Colts. I think they're like a 10-point favorite. The Colts. I don't know. The Colts did me wrong this past weekend. I don't know how I feel about them right now. They had got out to a 14-0 lead. Can't win the game. Needed them to win the game. So that sucked.
Yeah, I don't even know what I like for that game. I just think you watch the game and you just watch these guys catch dump offs. And
that could be a good option for tomorrow night. I don't know that I want to lay 10, and I don't know that I want to. I think the Jets, they had their miracle moment last week. They're probably gonna get their heads kicked in tomorrow night, but you never know. Let me see. I don't know. I haven't run that stuff yet.
And I don't like Indy enough to put them in one of my 3-team kind of huge favorite part. Maybe it's because I got stung by the Jets last week. They probably do win. I don't really.
How about Henry going down for several weeks for Tennessee?
So that was an interesting one, and I wanted to go back, and I didn't get to it. I wanted to go back and look at last week's show. One of the futures, I don't have any futures this week. I don't have any divisions. I had said last week I'm getting close on the Chargers. I'm stunned by the outcome of that game. I thought maybe this would be the week to do it. I still feel like the same about the Chiefs. But we talked about Derrick Henry. He was minus 300 to win the rushing title. And I said, if you look at take a couple of the guys second, third, and fourth place. Take whoever you want. Because he was minus 300 because he had a 300-yard lead. And the other guys were all like plus 300. And all it takes is an injury. And a week later, that's what happened. And Derrick Henry's a guy, I don't think he's ever missed a game. So Adrian Peterson's back there. He's re-signed. They get this kid, Jeremy McNichols. On the fantasy side, I kind of like them both, although most people's probably had their league waivers run by now. I don't think they're going to get the production they got out of Henry, but Henry's run through some huge holes this year. And they're the 1 seed right now, which I was shocked to see that. I was watching NFL Network tonight. Tennessee right now is the 1 seed in the AFC. I would never have guessed that.
Really? They are?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's what I mean.
They have a better record than Buffalo? Does Buffalo have 2 losses?
Hold on. AFC standings. 6-2, and Buffalo's 5-2. So yeah, Tennessee is the 1 seed. And like I said, I get so into the props and so into the games and into fantasy. I'll watch an entire game. You know my setup. I watch all the games simultaneously. If you ask me at 5 o'clock who won the games, a lot of times I can't even tell you who won and lost. I get that info on like Monday when I look back on the week because I'm so dialed into the games, other than the Pats and some of the obvious ones.
Yeah.
You just kind of get wrapped up into the individual performances.
I'm more into the games, the outcome of the games. But this is your thing. This is why we have you on, to give out these props. What was I just going to ask you? Oh, how about Riggs for the Raiders?
Ruggs. Henry Ruggs. Yeah.
Going 156 miles an hour, 2 seconds before he crashes.
So, and a loaded gun.
You loaded gun on the car too? I didn't know about that.
Yeah, they tacked that on today. So yeah, that's obviously. I mean, look, that was one of those teams. They started out 3-0, right? Gruden was coaching. Ruggs was on the field, and now you got to think that team is. I know they won the first game after the Gruden incident.
Yeah.
You got to think they're going to fade. I don't trust Denver. So the division I'm the most interested in terms of a futures bet is that AFC West, and I'm really like struggling.
Kansas City's 4-4 now. So what are the Chargers? That lost by the Chargers. They went to 4-4,
right? They are up.
I think it's the Raiders might be.
No, the Raiders are 5-2. The Chargers are 4-3, and the Chiefs are 4-4.
Geez, the Chiefs are right with how bad they have been. They are right back in.
And as I told you last week, I have them, I think, minus 350 to win the division. So I'm inclined to kind of just let that ride. But I
mean, with what's happening with the Raiders now,
right?
I mean, the Chargers could still, they could score points offensively. The Patriots have kind of had their number the last 2 years. They could still get in there. I think you're right. I think the Raiders are toast. Denver obviously has decided to just mail it in. They trade away Von Miller. So, I mean, I don't know how you take that if you're a Denver player. I'm not saying he's the same guy as he was 10 years ago, but he's still a legitimate player, and you trade away one of your top defensive players. Doesn't sound like you're going for it, especially in a sport where the deadline is nowhere near as prominent as it is in other sports. I mean, look, how many?
I don't get it. I don't understand it. No, I don't understand.
One Miller, and there was another deal, right? Wasn't there one other one?
Yeah, there was I think.
Mark Ingram. Yeah, they traded Ingram back to the Saints, right?
Right, but I think there was another guy too. I think there was another defensive player. I don't understand it. I don't, and maybe I don't know the cap enough, but there are so many situations, right? You have Denver that has Melvin Gordon at running back. They just drafted a kid, Javonte Williams, to play running back. We had him 2 weeks ago on a prop to score a touchdown. Why don't they trade Melvin Gordon? I don't get it, right? You give the Giants that have a bunch of wide receivers. Darius Slayton.
Receivers are all hurt.
Younger guys.
What
are the Giants? But what are the Giants going to do?
The Giants aren't playing for anything. You're right.
Trade one of these guys. Trade Darius Slayton to.
I think it might be. It's just the deadline is so early in the season that teams are still kind of in it. They're still kind of fighting for it. They don't want to throw up the white flag that it's over. But if the deadline was like 3 more weeks out, because you need depth to play these games, you get a few injuries, now you don't have enough players.
Right.
So I feel like if the deadline was like maybe in week, what week are we in right now?
We're week 9.
We just complete week 8.
Yeah.
So now we're headed to week 9. So you got the Tuesday after week 8's the deadline. What if they made it the Tuesday after week 10? Because you look at it like what's the MLB deadlines? July 31st.
Yeah.
So where are you around there? That's probably game like 110.
Well,
it's not the halfway point or even less than the halfway point. The hockey deadline is sometime in March. That's at the 2/3 point. I have no clue when the basketball deadline is. But, why have the football deadline so early? That I think that contributes to the fact there's no deals. But I've heard other things. It's like because these playbooks and the things are so complicated that you bring a guy in mid-season, it's hard to get them.
I don't buy that, right? Because I've heard that too, but I don't buy that because if that's the case, why is Adrian Peterson coming in off the street at 36 years old?
I know.
For a new team. It's not like he knows that playbook, right?
No.
So it's conflicting. I think the NFL has done a lot of good things. They've done some things around the draft, right? They capitalize on every single aspect of their game. The one thing they haven't paid any attention to or tried to improve is the trade deadline. And NFL Network has a show on, and nothing
happens though.
Nothing happens. And I think you're right. I think so. So here's what I think is going to happen. they've added a 7th playoff team. I think that allows them to push the trade deadline back. I don't think they want teams week 10 just dumping guys and changing the outcome of but there were so many players that should have been traded, in my opinion. Marlon Mack for Indy, Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham was more of a cap thing. There's a lot of people talking like, oh, he's going to get cut now.
He might get cut, I heard, right?
Yeah, and Belichick's going to sign him. I don't know how that's going to work if he's on waivers or if he'll be a free agent. But there should have been more movement. I don't understand it.
There was no movement. I thought the Pats were going to do something. They said they were going to be buyers. They didn't do anything.
Well, and they traded number 2 for Sanu. 2
years ago?
2 years ago.
Yeah.
He why could he learn the playbook then? Right.
I don't think he did because he was terrible.
He was awful. And the fact the guys, that's right. He was on Detroit last year.
So didn't he get hurt in the first game? And they said that was kind of the problem. He never really recovered.
I don't
because he's playing somewhere. Is he with San Fran right now?
San Francisco. He's
having a pretty good year, isn't he?
I wouldn't say a good year. He catches like a couple.
Better than he did with the Pats.
Right. No. He's definitely better there. I just, what bothered me about the trade deadline, and I'm interested in what you think of the Pats, and we'll get into that in a sec. But I don't understand how Denver could get a 2nd and a 3rd for a 32-year-old Von Miller in the final year of his contract, but the Pats only got a 6th.
Yeah, you're right. I don't get it either. I don't get it.
How does that?
Because you're talking about supposedly the best cornerback in the league, and all you could get was a 6th-round pick, but you got a 32-year-old linebacker whose best days are behind him. There's no 32. How could they get a 2nd and a 3rd? How are the Patriots not able to get even just a 2nd round or a 3rd round for Gilmore? They basically got nothing for him, to the point where I say, they just keep him. But I think there was the issue is that to activate him, they were going to need to do something with salary, and he refused to rework his deal because he said, I've been asking for a new contract with you guys for 2 years, so until you help me, I'm not helping you. And they said, all right, we're just going to trade you then.
When he came out today and took some shots at him and said he didn't like the way they handled his injury.
Yeah, I saw that headline, but I didn't.
You know what, Turk? And I said this all last year. They should have traded him last year instead of playing this game of we're going to compete with Cam Newton in empty stadiums. Like the last year was the time to move him. And I've been, obviously their drafting has been suspect, but their free agent moves and their trades. I mean, this goes back to I forget the D tackle, Coney Ely, that they gave a 4th round pick for. And you're like,
I remember that. Yep.
Right,
I think it was a 2nd round pick, actually.
Second round, right. It's like, what are they doing? And then they trade Jimmy Garoppolo at the time. They settle for a 2nd round pick when everyone thought, geez, you could, maybe they give a 1st for Brandon Cooks, which I thought was an overpay. So I've never really liked the way they.
And then I thought they were going to get him back and they didn't get him back.
Well, he's another one. What is Houston doing? And Casario says we want to build around this guy. He's been on 5 teams in 6 years, and
obviously no one else wants to build around him. I don't know. Maybe
he's trashing the team publicly. I don't understand. What goes on there. But it's
your team sucks. Down the wrong way. Houston sucks. What are you holding on to? What are you going to win? Maybe you'll win one more game. So who the hell cares? So if you got somebody you can get a draft pick for, even if it's a 4th, 5th rounder, just take it. And are you looking to rebuild the team anyway? So what the hell are you holding on to Brandon Cooks for? I don't know.
Again, I don't know cap implications and all that, but
neither do I.
There's a guy who knows the playbook, right? So that goes out the window. You're hanging on to N'Keal Harry for what, right? He wants out. The Pats they can't get a 5th or 6th or something. It's interesting to see where they are right now.
He's in year 3 right now, right? He's in year 3.
He is.
They haven't had, and I doubt they will pick up his 5th-year option. They have to declare that next offseason before the start of the 4th year. I doubt they'll do that. So he's basically a walk, or you try to deal him. Maybe they try to deal him this offseason for something. Yeah, but he's hardly on the field. He'll make 1 or 2 catches a game. But that's looking like another bad pick. But it looks like this, they got a few guys the last cut, like that Josh Uche guy. He looks pretty good. Christian Barmore looks good. Obviously, Mac Jones looks like, I was talking to somebody the other night, if you were to redo the draft, where would Mac Jones? Mac Jones wouldn't be 15. I think Mac Jones would be ahead of Zach Wilson. I think he'd be ahead of Lance in San Francisco. Who the guy went 10, Justin Fields?
Justin Fields. He looked better last week.
He'd be ahead of all these guys, though. Maybe Trevor Lawrence would still go number one.
I think he would. I think Lawrence, I think is the book's still kind of out there. That's kind of a message.
I think he'd still be one, but I think Mac Jones would be two.
And Lance, I think's kind of got an incomplete. Lance was the guy that I liked the best out of all of them. Even Lawrence. I kind of can't wait to see. I kind of can't wait to see him take over for Garoppolo. Fields looked better last week. I mean, look, I think a lot of what Mac Jones is success is that system, right? Mm-hmm. There was a period 2 weeks ago, and I can't remember if we talked about this last week or not, but where Tom Brady had 6 incompletions in a row, and they said it was like the first time that had happened in 15 years or something. What does that tell you, right? The Pats have a system of you're just going to complete passes, and so he's got a high completion percentage. He is starting to throw the ball downfield. I like, you like to see that. I think
what people forget is this is how they handled Brady in his first year.
Right.
Brady wasn't out there throwing 18-yard seam passes. It was all screen plays, check downs, and that's what they've been doing with him. They're basically saying, just manage the game for us, don't lose it for us. That's what they did to Brady. Right. Now, they were able to win all those games to get to the Super Bowl because they had a really good D.
Right.
But, obviously this D isn't as good. This team is not winning the Super Bowl. But I guess in week 8, we didn't think the Patriots were winning the Super Bowl in 2001 either. But, they're handling him the same way. And he looks a lot like him. I'm not saying he's Tom Brady. Not saying Tom Brady's like a once-in-a-lifetime hit. But this guy looks like he's going to be pretty good. And he's a tough kid, which Brady was too. So I think there's a lot of similarities between the two of them.
I just wonder with those other QBs, if you put them on New England,
what that look like. Absolutely.
Be the same, right? So it's hard to
This is kind of like what they said, which was that when it was time to let Brady go, they felt as though they could replicate to some degree what they did with Brady with like 12 to 15 other NFL quarterbacks right now. Right. Now, they chose Cam Newton, and they were wrong. Dead fucking wrong with Cam Newton. But maybe they're not wrong in the thought that we can replicate what we had with Brady to a degree with some of these other guys. And maybe Mac Jones is one of them. I'm not saying he's Tom Brady. I don't want people to be jumping out windows looking for me, talking like that someone is Tom Brady, but I think he's – huh?
You take enough heat on Twitter. We don't need a guy again.
I mean, people – Tom Brady here.
What's up? No Coke tonight, huh? Was that water or Sprite?
No, I've been drinking water. I haven't had a soda in 3 days.
So
trying to clean it out a little bit.
Let me ask you this. Where are you on the Pats right now?
Where am I? Well, they play Carolina, Denver. There's a Carolina, Atlanta, Denver the next 3 weeks, something like that.
They got some cupcakes coming up.
So, is there a possibility that they're 7-4 at the end of that? There's a possibility. I'm not saying it's happening. If they come out of that 7-4, I don't know. I mean, at this moment right now, they beat the shit out of the Jets, but and when that happened, you said, "Oh, that's no big deal." Then the Jets turn around, beat Cincinnati. So then they go out to LA. They beat a good Chargers team. That's a decent team out there, and you got to go all the way out there and you beat them. You found a way to win the game. We'll see if they beat Carolina. I don't know if McCaffrey's going to be back or not. Sam Darnold stinks. That team got out of the gate smoking, and then they won set. Oh yeah, they beat Atlanta, but everybody beats Atlanta. Where am I in the Pats? I think, like I've said a couple of times, I think the second half of the year they're going to be much better than the first. I think they're going to be a competitive team. With their last 2 weeks, they put themselves back in the playoff picture. Now, these next 3 weeks will determine if they stay in or not. They can win these 3 games against 3 very winnable games. Then I would say they're in it. They're in the butt.
Well, this is so. As you know, and we've talked about this, I have a lot of diehard Pat fan buddies that have gone full. They're back, like full on honk mode. I heard some guy call one of the shows on 98.5 talking about how Gunner is the all-time leading punt return yardage leader right now with a minimum of 50 attempts. I mean, guys are grasping at these random stats, and Rich Eisen came out and said they're back. And so I think people are fired up. So let's look at the schedule, right? So you got Carolina coming up. Christian McCaffrey practice. We talked about this when we talked about the under 9.5. The Patriots, no one likes to hear this. The Patriots have a knack of playing teams with like key superstars out, right? It's just historically that it just always seems to kind of work that way. And you look at the schedule coming up. McCaffrey was back at practice. I don't think he was full. He's probably 50-50 to play. If you play Carolina without Christian McCaffrey, that should be a win. Then you have the Falcons. Then you have the Browns.
Okay, the Browns are in that.
Okay.
Where is that? Is that in New England or is that in Cleveland?
That's in Cleveland. I feel like that's in New England. I'm sorry. I feel like every game too this year has been a home game for up until last week.
They've played four. So I think it's 4-4 now.
So you're playing Cleveland. Not that Odell Beckham's good anymore. He's off the team. Kareem Hunt, who I think is one of the better backs in the league, is injured. So you miss him. So you got Chubb. Mayfield's got a torn shoulder that he's playing with. Okay, so you get them in a spot where they're beatable because of some of these injuries. Then you get Atlanta. Calvin Ridley, their best receiver, just decided he's going to step away from football. Maybe he's back that game, maybe he's not. All of a sudden, that's a winnable game. Probably was with Ridley, but definitely winnable without. Then they host Tennessee. No Derrick Henry. What a lucky break. All of a sudden, that's a winnable game. So you look at what they have coming up. Then at the Bills, they'll lose there. At Indy, that's always been kind of a coin flip game. And then they get Jacksonville and Miami to close out. So
why did I think they had Denver? Did they not play Denver?
It's hold on. It's Carolina, Cleveland, Atlanta, Tennessee, Buffalo, Indy, Buffalo, Jacksonville, Miami.
Oh, so there is no Denver. I don't know why I thought they played Denver.
But
well, here's the thing. There's a lot of winnable games in there. And if you look at their first 8 games, the Miami game was very winnable. One play, and I'm not going to say one play because it's a whole game of plays that you just don't remember. But that fumble at the 12-yard line cost them the game. Their second game, they won. Their third game against the Saints, they got destroyed. It's the worst game I've seen them play in 20 years with Belichick as the coach at home. Then they got they got Tampa Bay after that. Very winnable game. One play goes another way, they win the game. So if you look at a lot of their games, they've been in all of them. The only one you would say they had no chance in winning was the Saints. They could be 7-1. They could be 2-6 right now. Neither Jets game was ever in jeopardy. All the other games could have gone either way. So they found a way to win in a couple games. They found a way to lose in a couple of games. So I think that'll need to continue. It's like, which way do they bounce? Do they figure out how to win a couple of these games? And like you pointed out there's a McCaffrey, Ridley now. Ridley now, that offense becomes totally now without Ridley in Atlanta. Henry, if he's still out, that's a big difference.
He's out. He's out 6 to 10 weeks. He will not.
He's out that long. Okay, so he's gone. So that now changes that offense a lot. So a lot of these games are all winnable. Maybe the one in Buffalo, you say they'll lose. Yeah, you're right, they'll lose. But would I be shocked if it was a tight game? No, because it's a divisional game, and these divisional games are always tight. So I wouldn't be shocked if they held in it. But you're right. After that, all right, they got to go to Miami to close out the season. Even when they were winning Super Bowls, they struggled in Miami. Right. So that'll be a tough game. But could they win 10 games? Yeah, they could. Will that be enough? I don't know. But they could. With 7 teams making the playoffs now, I think if they get to 10, they're in the playoffs. I think even 9 they could squeak in. I don't think they're going to get swept by Miami. So I have a hard time seeing them go there and lose. It seems like the Miami situation is what are you looking at? I'm sensing movement around me. Hold on. I was going to say, so is there a break-in in progress going on or what? Oh, there you go. Other side. Oh, what's wrong? Okay. Yeah.
Oh, your senses are good.
I could sense something. that loss of the Dolphins couldn't go back to hers. Well, I think it's going to hurt you when the team is one in that Dolphins team you lost to. The only team that they won was that week 1 fumble. The Dolphins have lost 7 straight since then. Yeah, that's one I think you'd like to have, because if you had that one, I think other things could have bounced differently the other way. I don't know about the Saints game. I think you were looking ahead to Tampa. There's no doubt about that. That's something that never used to happen with Belichick. The team was always focused at hand. Maybe Belichick was looking forward to the next game too, but you'd find that hard to believe. He doesn't seem to care about anything. But, maybe you win that game. You got a little momentum. You beat the Jets. You're 2-0. Maybe you're feeling a little different about. I still think you lose to that New Orleans game. I don't know. Maybe you pull something out, and I don't know. The Dolphins game hurts. You're right. I think 11-6 could be very much in their possibility if they didn't lose that Dolphins game. But they did. So now they got to make it up. Now, was that win against the Chargers? Is that the game that you had to steal one from someplace else? Was that it? I don't know. You got some other road games there.
Atlanta is going to be a Thursday night. That's
where is that game? Is that in Atlanta?
I actually might go down to that game. It's still to be determined, but I have an opportunity to get down there, and because it's a Thursday night, I'm thinking about it. It's at the time it seemed like it was going to be kind of a stinker, but now
it might. It's going to mean it's the Thursday night. It's going to mean something.
No, exactly.
It's in 2 weeks, so right? It's in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's that short turnaround. They have the Browns at home on the 14th, and then they have Atlanta on the 18th. Look, Cleveland feels like they're going in the tank, right, with what's going on there. Yes, I see that comment right there with the Dolphins loss. They have to beat a team they're not supposed to. No, and that probably was that win last week. I didn't think win that game. Right?
I did think they were going to win it, but you're right. But we could definitely chalk that in one that's a good quality a win on the road against a quality team. Now, where do the Chargers end up at the end? I don't know, but as of this minute right now, they were 4-2 coming into that game, coming off a win, right? Didn't they beat someone the week previous?
They did.
This is the NFL, it's 1 week a team's good, the next week they suck. So I wouldn't be surprised.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If right now on Barstool, and I came out in week 2 and said take the under 9.5.
That's right. You did, yep.
I hate to hedge on the no hedge show.
Yeah.
That number's now 8.5.
Oh. I like it at 8.5. I'd go over at
8.5. At 8.5 with Derrick Henry out and some of these injuries, as you look at that schedule, can they win 5 more games?
I think they can.
I think Miami, Jacksonville, Atlanta, Carolina, and then all you need to have is Indy and Cleveland, Tennessee. I mean,
pick one, or the 2 Buffaloes. Pick one.
Well, I even concede the Buffalo games. If they split Buffalo, they're going to go over 8.5. Again, if Mac Jones blows his knee out in 2 weeks, all bets are off. I mean, you still lose, unfortunately. There's no injury stips on the Barstool app that I'm aware of. But if he makes it through the season, and the line looked a little better last week. They actually looked better when Wynn left the game, which is, I think, more.
That guy, he can't play.
Right. So
maybe they need to move him inside and play guard, but he can't play tackle. Boy, this Northern Illinois here. I mean, we just made a comeback, and Kent State goes down the field in 3 plays to take the. Now it doesn't look good. Probably going to go 1-1 in college football tonight.
So how many plays are we going to get on Saturday from you? Is this going to be a?
Colleges. I was just looking at my things right now. Probably going to work on that tonight, and I will fire out tonight some college plays. I don't know. What did I do? How many did I have this weekend?
Not as many as the week before, I think.
16, right? Well, it's because my Saturdays have been so full lately.
Yeah.
I'm running around. I'm at hockey games, and I'm at a hockey game, and I'll be at the Northeastern game again this Saturday night. So it's a lot of doing it on the road. So that's why when I put the card out in the morning, I'm like, I don't really have the add-ons, which I usually have. And that's where I've fallen off. That's why I haven't hit that 25 number yet. We'll get there.
That's what I like to hear.
I can't believe it though. Look, we're in what, week 9, week 10 of college football. We're into November already.
Yeah, that I kind of go into that mid-season. I'm not a February, March guy, and when that last weekend of college football,
that's when you're like, wow, this is over.
Yeah, it's kind of over. I'm not even a huge college foot, but I like throwing the game on Saturday night or Saturday afternoon, whatever the SEC game is on CBS, and I don't sit down and watch it start to finish. But when the games start to become kind of one, then you get that rivalry
weekend, and it's over. And then you get Thanksgiving,
and that's it. Right now, it's actually Army Navy. That's the weekend when it kind of hits you that it's over, because I think it's like the only game.
That's like the only game, and then they have championship. And the Bulls. I have been so bad on the Bulls the last 2 years. Last year I had a great regular season in college football. Got destroyed in the Bulls. So because you know what the thing with the Bulls have become? They're glorified scrimmage games.
Yeah.
Any team that's good, like you're going to have Georgia and whoever, you pick the other 3 teams. It doesn't matter. They're in the playoffs. Then all the top teams that don't make the playoff, 4, 5, 6 of their top players all opt out of the game because they don't want to.
That's the big thing, right? That's a new phenomenon. I think that's happened like the last
5 years. 5 years. So now you've got these teams that are missing linemen, they're missing linebackers, they're missing running backs, receivers, quarterbacks. It's like, all right, so the team you watch play the whole year that went 10-2, this is not the same team anymore. Now it's an exhibition game. So it's really been hard to hit these bowl games, at least for me, because it's not the same team. So maybe you got to pay real much closer attention to who's opting out and who isn't. I mean, you probably should anyway. But if you're looking at any like trends or you're following teams and playing stats or anything like that for the year, you get those top teams that don't make the tournament. Half the team doesn't play. That's why they got to go to an 18 playoff and have a better playoff, because the Bulls, which have always been irrelevant, are now becoming even more irrelevant.
Yeah, no, they absolutely are. Now, what's Elio's at the Breeders' Cup? That's he's
going to the Breeders' Cup. He's in the air right now. I think he left around 5:30, so he's probably got another hour to an hour and a half to go, I would think.
And he's just
I don't even know where it is. He's in California, but I don't know where he's going in California. I don't know what the Breeders' Cup is.
And he's just giving up plays all weekend. Is that
so I think it's Friday and Saturday, so he'll be playing horses all weekend. I'm sure we'll see him and hear him. He's in a tournament. Hopefully he does well. The last time I spoke to him, he was kind of going over his financial situation. So I don't know where he landed, what his plan was, because I didn't talk to him today. But he's in a tournament. Hopefully he does well in the tournament. I think I'll probably talk to him tonight or tomorrow at some point. So we'll see how things are going and what his plan is. But what's today, Wednesday? Today's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday, Mr. Wednesday night, Turk.
That's right. I knew that. It's this week's flying by. It's flying by.
I know.
We can't go before we saying the Atlanta Braves won the World Series. I think they've won like 27 out of the last 32 NL East divisions. And nice to see them get World Series number 2 out of all those years.
Is that what it is? 27 out of 32?
Oh, it's something like, remember this in the 90s, they won it every single year with those teams. And then it carried over into the 2000s. I don't know what the actual number is, but I would bet it's 20, at least 20 division titles in the last 32, 33 years. And they finally get that second world championship. All those great teams with Maddox and Smoltz and Glavine, they only won one. It's like a shame because they always ran into those great Yankee teams. They only won one. So it's nice to see them get number 2.
Do they still have the agreement with TBS?
No, I haven't been on TBS in years.
Okay. That's how dialed in I am. But back in the day, I went to high school with a kid who used to rock a Terry Pendleton jersey. And that, pre-internet, you basically, if you ever wanted to watch, and cable wasn't, there wasn't an MLB channel. So like those Atlanta games, that was kind of like you're looking to like the National League, right? And I felt like
it was kind of cool. It was a second team to watch. Right. So I've always kind of liked the Braves, probably because of that.
Right.
And I was happy to see them win. if the Astros had won, I don't have the intense hatred that people have for the Astros. I know some Yankee fans that think the Astros stole the World Series on them a couple of years ago. Everybody seems to forget the Yankees got caught doing the same. Maybe they weren't using video cameras. They were using Apple Watches. They were signaling. Everybody does this. This is the biggest crock. I'm going to tell you this. If Major League Baseball is going to put TV monitors in the dugouts, what do you think people are going to do with them?
Yeah.
You guys are sitting there looking. I'm like, wow, we could see the sign. Why don't we tell the guy? It happens. You know, maybe the Astros took it. I mean, if Jose Altuve was wearing a buzzer, then they've lost me. They've lost me as a supporter because that I don't agree with. But I don't know if I don't have this hatred for the Astros. I will tell you this: if the Astros are playing the Dodgers or the Giants, I would have been rooting for the Astros. And I would like to see Dusty Baker win one. Poor guy, 72. And I don't know, is he going to get another shot? It sounds like Carlos Correa is done in I think Carolina just took the lead. Nice. I think Carlos Correa is done in Houston. You know, their run might be coming to a little bit of a – they got a good team. They lack the front of the rotation starter. Zach Greinke's in his final year. He's done. So this might have been their shot. I don't know if they're going to have, you know, who knows what happens in free agency, but
I'm still not used to them in the American League.
In the American League. Well, they've been there for a little bit.
Look, I still think Seattle's in the AFC West. These things take a long time to register.
Wow, how long have they been? You know, that's got to be close to 20 years, right?
Seahawks?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. No, it's been a long time.
How long has Pete Carroll been there? Because they haven't. The whole time they've been in the NFC. Pete Carroll.
Oh yeah, no, they were NFC. Who was in Seattle before Pete Carroll?
Mike Holmgren.
Yes. Yeah.
And when Holmgren took them to the Super Bowl in like
03, that was NFC. Yeah,
they were NFC because they lost to the Steelers. They've been NFC for 20 years now.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And the Astros have got to be American League for at least 10, 15. We looked this up the other day. Milwaukee Brewers have been in the National League for something like 15 plus years too. So
that one, for some reason, I know, but Houston.
I almost forget they were ever in the American League.
Yeah.
Back in the days, Robin Yount and Paul Molitor.
Well, and they were in the AL East. It
was only two divisions. Yeah,
right, when they had the two divisions. So I remember seeing a lot of Brewers games at Fenway with kind of the Mo Vaughn years.
I remember going when I was a kid, and they were playing the Brewers, and I think Dwight Evans, Jim Rice, and Tony Armas hit back home
Tony
runs.
Armas, yeah.
So this is probably like 84, something like that. So it's like 8 or 9 years old. Yeah. Well, all right, we've gone 48 minutes here, so that's a pretty good show. We've given people a lot. You always knew Nappy and I could talk
all night, Charlie.
When it came to this stuff. We had many arguments. I mean, back in the day, we had a fantasy football league at our old work. We won't mention the name because Nappy still works there.
Yeah,
no names. But we had a fantasy baseball league being run by one of the guys, like 10 guys, and I come in one day and his team name has been changed to the Turk Hunters. So we always kind of had that rivalry. You know, he hated Trot Nixon because I liked Nixon. I hated Johnny Damon. You liked Johnny Damon. Johnny Damon.
No, I mean, it's just two different personalities. You know, I was more of a Damon guy. Daubach was my guy for a while. Derek Lowe was one of my guys.
He likes Derek Lowe. Derek Lowe was a good closer. I didn't like him as a starter. He had but that was when he was in Boston. When he left here, he became a stud. Dodgers, Braves, stud.
Yeah,
stud. Absolutely.
No, that was I took heat. You mentioned that, right? So this has come up in my fantasy because all I do now is fantasy football. The league I run is the league I joined when I was, 13, 14, 15 years old, 92. And my first picks were Aikman and Irvin. And it was Sterling Sharp was in the league that year. We got him like late. Remember Marv Cook, the tight end for the Pats? He wore 40.
I remember the name, but I don't remember him being with the Pats.
Yeah, he wore 46 and he wore 85. It was like the Hugh Millen years. He was our tight end.
I think I might remember that now. Yeah.
That's all I do. And anyway, it comes up, and this is always this great debate we have. Should you change your name mid-season? And I'm not a fan of the mid-season name change at all. And so when you mentioned that Turk Hunter, when I did that, I got, guys came at me like, wait a minute, Mr. Don't change your fantasy team name during the season. Changed his name. I was like 25, I've come so far in the fantasy world since then. I mean, your opinions are going to change. I took a lot of heat for, and I kind of forgot that I did that. I remember we had the NASCAR league for a while.
I was never. That's the most ridiculous. I hate NASCAR.
You heard a lot about it.
I heard a lot about it. Biffle and Blaney and Carr are just the stupidest thing.
Yeah, we did that for a while. I don't do that anymore. It's just football. That's all I got time for.
I mean, fantasy NASCAR. I mean, I used to tell you, go sit at the Rotary and watch cars drive in circles.
Yeah, they've totally ruined that sport's kind of. I haven't watched a race in probably 5 years.
I've never watched a race.
Yeah, it was it was going to be the next big thing, and for a while it was, and now it's like
soccer.
Now. It's gotten pushed off of TV, right? So like,
oh, it has.
Well, it's on like FX2 and like these you got to go. It used to be on the main Fox channel. Now it's none of that stuff. Even baseball now. There was one night I was looking for the Sox just to kind of see what was going on at one of the playoff games. It took me 20 minutes to find the game.
It drives me crazy. You're like FS1, FS2, TNT, TBS, and saying all these things on my remote trying to find, because I have Verizon now. I don't know what channel. I don't know what channel number. So I'm constantly like talking on the phone, just like, give me this thing. And every time I say TBS, it sends me to PBS. I fucking want PBS.
Oh, you're using the remote, the voice remote.
I don't know any numbers.
Yeah.
I have no idea. No idea. I don't like this Verizon. I'm not a fan. So Kent State is at 4th and goal. I'm sorry, Northern Illinois is at 4th and goal at the 1, and they're reviewing something. Maybe we got a shot maybe to sneak in the back here. We'll see. We'll see.
We keep likes those backdoor covers. I know that from watching.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, he does. He does. Music service. Lung cancer conference. I don't know what that means. Well, all right. I guess we should call it. I hear a lot of running around behind me. I think I have kids running around the house. I should probably go see what's going on.
Yeah, go get that situation settled. Remember, this week, Michael Carter, over 4.5 catches. That's your stuffed mushroom.
All right, that's nice. I like a good stuffed mushroom. All right, maybe a little Chacarero in the future, huh? Charlie McGregor. See, you would never go there. I started off like you. I wouldn't do it, and then I went. I'm like, stuff is great.
It's a sandwich on pancakes.
I don't know what that bread is, but you got that beef, that cheese, and then you got string beans. You ever had string bean on a sandwich before? String beans, and then they put they got a little guac on it, and then put a little spicy on it. It's really good. Chacarero. I don't know where it is.
Still open post-COVID.
It's still open?
I don't know if it is. A lot of places are closed downtown.
Oh, that would be a shame if that was closed. I've been since COVID. I've driven in when I was living in Brookline. I'm still
going to get into Tony's. Maybe that Pats Atlanta game will be the night I venture over to the sports bar.
Unless you're in Atlanta.
No, I'm probably 60-40 not going to do it, but it's tempting, like I said, because it's a Thursday night. But I could get down to your neck of the woods in 20, 30 minutes and, sink my teeth into a 12-inch sub. Why not?
We can measure it too. If you come down, we'll get a tape and measure the sub just to prove it to everybody. It's 12 inches. Oh, I got an update now. Edmonton, crap. All right,
Turk. We'll see you.
We'll see you.
All right, take care.
Bye.